Patty?
I am. Why wouldn't I be?
Mostly because you're putting on eye
Makeup that no one's going to see.
That's never stopped me.
Hey, Greg.
Welcome to Two Tired Twats Comedy Podcast. My name is Patty Rossborough, and I'm here with the beautiful, the Greek, the sexy Carrie Carabas.
Hello,
is
Patty.
Here. We have a fantastic guest who we've actually wanted on for a while. We have asked him before, but he's very busy.
And
Hilarious.
Hilarious.
I've known you for a while.
Got to be 27, 28 years.
It has to be at least that.
Yeah.
And the last time I worked with you, I think, was Stand Up New York, and that was probably 10 years ago?
No. We were at Dangerfields recently.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We were.
We were.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Everybody
Jim
does.
David! Jim David is here
Hi.
on the show.
Hi, twats.
Hello, David. Jim David. Let me tell you a funny story real quick.
Please tell me a funny
I
story
went
about Jim
to
David.
Amsterdam with Jim. We get on the plane, and all of a sudden the plane takes off and it starts bouncing. And I'm like, Jim, oh, my God. Because I'm the worst flyer.
That I can't believe.
Carrie and I got booked at this strange television show in Amsterdam where the host was a Dutch Indian man.
From India.
From India,
Yes.
yes. But he was Dutch. And he would speak between all the comics did an English set. I think we were all Americans, weren't they?
Yes.
On this was a regular comedy show in Holland, but he would intro us and speak between the sets in Dutch, so you would hear Carrie Carabas.
Yes.
America, Jim David.
Yeah.
Did you speak in
That was
English
our
during the...
We
Yeah,
spoke
we
in English, and what was funny was because in Holland English is still their second language. They all
okay.
speak it,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's still their second language. So there was just a slight delay for the
Yeah.
laughs.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes,
And
yes.
so they would go. You'd tell the joke,
Yeah.
and then they would go, "Oh yes,
Yes.
oh yes, very funny. That was funny."
Do you have to talk
but
really
Carrie,
slow?
No,
to talk slow?
they did recommend that we talk a little slower.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So I wasn't quite as rapid as I'm like talking to you now.
Right.
But Carrie, I flew over there. I thought we were going to have to turn the plane back and land, make an emergency landing in Greenland. This bitch, at the slightest turbulence.
Really?
Oh, she was. Oh my God.
Wait, no, wait,
Oh my
no,
God.
he gets to me.
No, am I exaggerating?
No.
No, she was like,
Why is he doing that?
And she would go down with her head down between her legs. And I was just like, could I have another
No,
cocktail?
here's what he said to me. All of a sudden he goes to me, no. Get up. Get out. Remember you made me go sit?
It's enough.
I had to sit like 3 rows back.
did.
I go,
I made her-
really?
I made her go
Jim,
back.
please. And he goes, no, get back there. So I went and I sat by myself and I tortured some strange old man.
You're like a child. Carrie, that surprises me because nothing scares you.
I can't, if I'm not driving the plane,
Oh,
you have to be a control freak.
But this was just normal turbulence. This was not turbulence that this was not turbulence that would make me go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I just had that on the last flight I took.
And do you think you're going to die when that happens?
Well, you don't think you're going to die, but it is.
It's terrifying.
It's like all of a sudden there's a bam in the plane, and you're like, hey,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and you tighten your seatbelt just a little bit,
Yeah.
and just breathe, and people don't, occasionally you'll see something on the news that the turbulence got really bad, but when was the last time you saw that the plane crashed and died?
I don't know.
God
You
because
do
of turbulence?
sometimes. Yeah, I
don't-
had
you
one
know.
that was a what do you call those commuter planes? And it was like, and you could feel everything. And then we had turbulence, and I thought I'm really going to die. And that's when I wrote my mother and father a note and put it in my pocket because I thought if I go down and I die, they'll find
That's
that
funny.
I love
the
them.
shark, they'll open up the shark that
That's
ate
funny
you.
what we think. But
I-
the first time since we're at the comic strip, I just was remembering the first time I ever saw you perform. I thought you were the funniest thing because there was a commercial on TV for Shout.
Oh yeah.
You try stroking it out. You try soaking it out. You try rubbing it out. Now try shouting it out. And your joke was, Get the fuck out! Remember?
I
was-
did props back then, and I could hold
It was-
the thing.
it
I would go,
was-
get the fuck out!
But it was just so
It was
funny,
so
just
stupid.
because I was new to comedy and I had never heard a woman curse on stage like you did.
You know what's so funny about that? You are the first person. I actually wrote this down because I remember you were the first person who used the word cunt on stage and got a laugh that I ever saw. Comics back in the day didn't use the word cunt. That was like a word you didn't use. And audiences would be like, because I had a joke with cunt in it and it never worked. But you had a joke. Do you remember the joke?
The joke was,
What was the joke? It was
the
so
joke
funny.
was the joke was I performed at an ophthalmologist convention for a bunch of eye doctors. And the guy said, Jim, if you have any jokes about the auricular pressure of the atrius humor on the optic nerve, that'd be great. And I said, well, I have one, but I say cunt in it.
It always got a laugh.
And listen, and then I did that joke at the Aspen Comedy Festival, the HBO Aspen Comedy Festival, and some booker, some comedy booker, I don't even remember his name, but he said, "Don't say cunt. It's not good. Don't say cunt." And I said, "But they laughed at it. It's a funny. This is a comedy festival.
Go fuck yourself.
This is a comedy." And you know what's now? I have written in my act a little preamble about how I'm not for everyone, and if you don't like
you
me,
say that?
Yes, I do. I say if I'm doing like an hour by myself, I'll say I'm not for everyone. If you don't like me, don't sit there and hate me. The door's right there, because
You're right,
And
though.
because
You're right.
because they get so everybody's like political correctness is the death of comedy,
Right.
And I can't even say. I'll say I can't even make a fat joke anymore. Instead of saying fat, I have to say full figured.
That's what
instead
Carrie
of
says.
instead
She
of
can't do
saying
fat.
instead of saying ugly, I have to say visually assaultive. Instead of saying fraud, I have to say TV evangelist. Instead of saying pervert, I have to say Penn State coach. You know what I mean? So it's like
Code words.
code words,
Yes.
right? And that usually works. But because it used to be conservatives that got really mad at you. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
immoral. That's vulgar.
Right.
That's nasty. Now it's liberals. Now
Yeah.
they're saying, that's racist. That's transphobic. Shut the fuck up. Get the
I
fuck out
agree.
of here.
I agree.
Get outta here.
It's like, get over yourself. I got in trouble for a gay gym teacher joke, and it's like, who gives a shit? They're like, that's not right, about with lesbians, but like lesbians don't give a shit. I mean, most of them don't, right? Or some of them do. I
It
don't
depends
know.
on. See, it's always dependent on whether or not the joke is intended to hurt someone.
Yeah.
And if it's not, if it's just poking gentle fun,
Right.
If they can't deal with it, they shouldn't be at a comedy show.
Also, I make so much fun of myself first. All I do is make fun of myself for the first 10
Sure.
minutes. So,
Sure.
tough,
Yeah.
You
to
only
But I mean-
you only came up with 10 minutes? Because I can help you write another.
Actually, most
another
of my
hour
act
on
is
it.
self-deprecating. No, but you're so fucking funny, Jim.
Thank you.
Jim David is like you can't breathe in his act.
It's true.
Thank you.
It's true.
Well, I've been making my living at it since 1987.
Wow.
So
and
that's-
you don't have a second job ever?
No, never. Not since I started doing comedy. No.
And where do you? Okay, so where do you go on the road? You do
Yes,
boats?
I do. I do everything. I do the 7 C's of comedy:
What's that?
clubs, colleges, corporate events, cruise ships, casinos,
You do it
country
all.
clubs, and the Catskills. All of
Really?
them. All of it.
That's
and
great.
so, and I've always managed to make a living, and I've always managed to make a good living, and not being that famous.
But you've done
know what I
TV as well.
Yeah,
You've-
sure.
Have you done Netflix yet? Have you done a
No,
Netflix? Have you
haven't done that. I'm probably too old for that.
No.
Why do you think that?
No,
because
funny is funny.
no, because no. Well, you tell that to the powers that be. Tell that to the powers that be, because they are interested in young people in their 20s and 30s.
That is true.
They're not like Are you like? Look, you and I have been doing this for a long time. One of the funniest people in the entire world is Dom Irrera.
Oh
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's in his late 60s, I think, right?
Right. Gotta be.
And so nobody's gonna. I don't know. I don't want to speak ill of Dom, but you know what I mean. It's like, why don't they pick him? And it's like, they all say we're too old. They
Yes.
do. They do think that there is age discrimination like crazy.
You know what's weird though?
Totally.
When I was growing up, everybody was old.
I
You know,
know.
it was Phyllis. I saw
I
a new
know.
thing that you liked Phyllis Diller and you liked Jonathan Winters. These people were fucking old.
Well, they were
And-
older. They were all in their 50s and up.
Yeah, and that's what was funny
Yeah.
to us. Like
but
when I
now the average the demographic for the Comedy Central is 12.
yeah.
But they're not funny yet.
No, they're not. Most
Yeah.
of them are not.
They're not
You watch
funny
some.
yet.
Listen, I'm not gonna. We're not gonna mention names, but I saw some of these Netflix specials.
I,
There was-
I,
There was one.
boring.
Well, just not good. And I'm like,
Painful.
They had 15 minutes, right? They did a show with like 8 comics, and
Right.
each doing 15 minutes.
Right.
And a couple of them, I thought, you have 15 minutes on the #1 international network where
Right.
your set is going to be translated into Apache.
What's Apache?
Indian, you know
Oh,
what I
right.
mean?
okay.
It's going to be translated into
Oh,
Latvian.
Apache.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
It better
all,
be funny.
all over the world.
Right.
And that's the 15 minutes you picked? Seriously? You know?
It's
but
not
anyway,
gonna- it's not
but
gonna
hey, look,
translate
what do
good.
I know?
It's not the steak, it's the sizzle. I feel like a lot of it now is, are
But
you
here's-
young? Are you
but here's
cute?
the
Are you
thing.
Asian? Are
But
you
what happens with that
transgender?
is people now
Something.
when they go to watch a Netflix special, they're like, I don't know if they're getting used to not funny comedy, and they're like laughing at kind of like almost funny comedy, and then when they see somebody like you live, they're like, oh my god. Like people come out of my show.
You
and go,
flatter me, ladies.
No, but
you're
like,
both very beautiful.
People have come out of my shows and go to me, "You are the funniest person I've ever." I'm like, "Well, who have you ever seen? I know a lot of funny
That's the
people.
problem.
How
They
could
look-
I be the funniest person you've ever seen? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, they say that they'll go like, oh, I didn't think women were funny until I came to this show. But you know why? Because they're watching the shit. Like Comedy Central will only put on certain kind of people, girls in tube tops or whatever. You know what I mean? So maybe they're not seeing the funniest
they're not.
women or people or whatever.
Did you ever hear Margaret Cho did this genius bit early on in her special called "I'm the One That I Want," and it was all about her experiences doing that television show she did,
Oh,
All
yeah.
American Girl,
Yeah.
and about how there was a meeting. They actually had a meeting at ABC to discuss that she should lose weight.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That she was a little too chunky for the camera.
For America, have they been in America?
and she was fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, she does this. I can't repeat it because I don't know it.
Right.
But women have always put up with looks discrimination.
Right.
And now I am dealing with age discrimination.
Yeah.
You know, because some clubs don't want me because I'm too old for their audiences.
I told you that guy, or
You know?
I didn't tell you. I told you. But the guy, what's his name, Gary, over at Stand Up New York, he goes to me, "Oh, great job," and I go, "Yeah, I want to work here." And he goes, "Yeah, you're too old." I go, "But you just told me I did a great job because I was on a fucking bringer show." And he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "My booker doesn't like old people."
Right.
That's what he told me to my face. They say it.
You
so
know-
imagine what
how
they're saying.
recently was this?
2 years ago.
Really?
3
My
years.
booker doesn't like old people?
Yeah, that's what he said.
You
And
should have
Steve
brought him
Marshall,
up on charges.
I know, I should have. Steve Marshall was standing right next to me, and he goes, "Yeah, you too, Steve." Steve's too old too. Steve's insane and
Seems
funny.
like I'm just hanging out with her. What do I? You know what's funny about what you just said about the being fat? I was a size 3 in LA. Do you remember?
Which I don't know
Do you
what that is.
It's
But I
small.
remember you being very svelte.
Okay, I read for a show, and the guy, the director stops and goes, "Can you lose any weight?" And I looked at him and I go, "Nope."
Yeah, good.
I
No.
didn't get the part. But
Yeah.
but I go to him now.
Well, you know what?
Not
I
a,
had that.
Not a fucking pound.
Yeah,
Well,
why should you?
Well,
I was already 3.
I've
So-
always been too something. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Too young, too old, too gay, not gay enough. No, literally, I was in L.A. and I auditioned for an episode of Mad About You, and the casting director said to my agent, "You can tell he's gay when he walked in the room. It's like perfume."
The casting
The
director?
casting director told my agent, "You can tell he's gay when he walks in the room."
What does that mean?
I don't know.
You don't got the part?
That means you don't get the part.
No, I didn't get it. But anyway, and then I auditioned for the part of a gay person
Yeah.
on a Roseanne episode.
Yeah.
It was a gay man. Not gay enough. Not gay enough. It's like
so you're too gay for a straight role. and
Basically,
not
what
gay
they
enough.
want is an actor playing.
they wanted me to just sort of walk in and hi.
Yeah, yeah.
They wanted all that shit. It's like this black comedian that I know.
Who?
She was telling me that sometimes she will audition and they want her to sister it up. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
they want her to act like this. That's right. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
want her to do that shit, and she won't do it. You know, because
Yeah.
it's not nowhere in the. She said nowhere does the character say it's like that's kind of ghetto. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So she's not going to do it. So
Yeah.
hey, look,
You-
I'm grateful. I'm still making a living.
That's
I'm
it.
I'm still doing fine.
So
I got 2 homes.
you really?
Yeah, sure. I got an apartment here in New York, and I got a place at the beach.
Holy shit! Good for you. Are
Yeah.
you
Wow.
married? You're married.
I
or
am
you-
married for well, we're married since 2012.
He's cute, by the
Yeah,
way. I
he's
was
adorable.
stalking
we're
you.
married since 2012, but we've been together in 31 years.
Were there
31 years.
Hold on, were there prenups or you bought them together?
Carrie
bought it
always
together.
worries about
We
this.
bought them together.
Well, I made her marry a.
For me.
Right, right.
You're absolutely right.
I'm like,
No.
nothing's gonna happen to him, but you never know.
You were one of the first guys that I saw on stage talk about being gay. Like the first one I ever saw, first gay guy I ever saw talk about being gay on stage. Like there were people who were gay, but they didn't talk about it on stage.
Your husband.
Your husband.
My husband never talked about it on stage. I think if he had talked about it on stage, he would have
would've
been
never got married.
really funny. It would have been really funny because he would have been who he was instead of being somebody else.
Yeah.
But Bob Smith, the
Yep.
first one who did a gay joke, the funniest like joke ever.
Right.
I came out to my parents at Thanksgiving.
Would you pass the gravy to a homosexual?
Homosexual.
Yeah.
And then my
And she
mother passed it to my
I
father.
passed it to my father.
Great joke.
Bob just passed away
I
last year.
know,
you
it's
know.
terrible.
Oh, that's
Shame.
horrible.
Of
No,
ALS.
he had ALS. He had a long decline, which was really sad. So we miss Bob.
And he was a
He was a
writer. He
great
did
writer.
very funny guy.
Very funny guy.
But then shortly, I believe, afterwards, you were the next gay comic who actually would talk about being gay on stage. He would do jokes about it or whatever, right?
I don't know who was next. I know that Comedy Central told me that I was the first openly gay man to have a special.
Because you talked about it in your
In my
special.
special, yeah.
And did you get flack? Like, did you have an agent at the time, or did you
Uh-huh.
get flack? Did they say don't say it? Like, was
Nobody said anything.
Nobody said anything?
Comedy Central was like, you can do what you want. They don't care.
were you
know.
afraid? Were you like, if I say I'm gay,
No.
I won't have a career?
Everybody knew your
we-
parents.
I- oh,
Everybody knew
sure.
you were gay.
Oh,
I mean,
sure,
your
sure.
family-
At some point, yes, I was. I mean, that's why it took me 14 years, because I
To
was
come out on
Mhm.
stage?
Yeah, because I was afraid that once I did that would
Labeled
shut some
you.
doors, and it did shut some doors. Some clubs stopped booking me.
Really?
Some road clubs, yes. They
That's
stopped.
so-
They said to my agent, "Why do we want a gay comedian?" You know, then I would have.
when we could have a straight one.
This was
Not as funny.
That's right.
A
No,
not
but
as
this
funny
was.
straight
But
guy.
remember, this is 1997. This is like 22 years
You
ago.
know, people don't understand. I think like comics now who are gay, they don't get what it was like
No.
back in the day
No.
because you really couldn't say you were gay. Because I used to be the first time I saw
You
Bob,
could. No, you could.
but you were. I was
But
afraid.
you had to know.
Like when I saw Bob Smith do that joke, and I'm sitting in the audience, I'm like, "Whoa!" I go, "Is someone going to bother him after the show? Is someone going to beat
Well,
him
I
up?"
had that happen in Philadelphia at Helium.
What, that someone tried to beat you up?
No, but I was just started talking about my partner, and then out of the darkness, I hear this voice. Hey, is this a gay bar? I said, no. If you want a gay bar, go out the front door and turn left, and it's the mansion right down
That's
the
really
street. It's up
funny.
on the second level.
And did they laugh?
No, the audience did, but the guy said, "Well, if this isn't a gay bar, would you mind not pushing your gayness all over me?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ram it down your throat." And when I said that, the audience was totally on my side, and they threw the guy out.
Oh,
But
really?
the guy was genuinely. I mean,
He's
he
upset.
Homophobic.
he said to the
Owner.
to the owner. He said, I don't. The guy's a faggot on the stage. What the hell is this?
I know, but that's how
Yeah.
people used to talk
And then
back then.
there was this happened about 5 years ago. It was on a ship, right? It was
Yeah.
on a ship.
Cruise ship.
And it was in the adult club, so I can say whatever I want. There's
Right.
no censorship. That's why ships are great now,
I
because
thought
there's
ships are very. You can say this and you can't say that.
no. Now they have completely uncensored. The only thing they don't want you to do is get too political, because these people are on vacation.
Oh, okay.
And it divides the audience, especially in the days of President Il Douchebag.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Now,
mean?
Are you
So-
talking about gay cruises, or you're talking about any?
No,
cruises?
any cruise.
Any
Straight,
cruise.
straight.
Okay. Okay.
Right, because there's a comedy club now.
Yeah, in the theater.
Okay.
But it was. Do you remember before they legalized marriage equality nationwide? They started legalizing it all these little states.
Right. Vermont.
So it was like dominoes, you know, and it's like
yeah.
like a federal court would make a decision, and then all of a sudden, in 13 states legalized it.
Right.
Okay, so I'm doing a thing, and there was this woman a middle-aged woman, and she was giving the first comic, the guy that was before me, a lot of shit. She was just being a jerk.
Yeah.
And then I went on stage and I said, "I'm from North Carolina, and the whole front row goes, hey, that's where we're from. And I said, oh, they just legalized marriage equality today in North Carolina. And then this woman yells at me, 2 big thumbs down for that. And I said, what? And she said, marriage is a sacred union only between a man and a woman. And I said, not anymore, bitch. I said, you guys aren't doing too well with that sacred union shit. And anyway, it was back and forth and back and forth.
Oh, no.
And I cannot hide my emotions.
Yeah.
And when I get really angry,
Yeah.
I start to shake physically.
Really?
Yeah, I will. I'll just fucking. I really do. And so I was holding onto the microphone for dear life, and I had my other hand, and I had my other hand.
Show.
Yeah, and I had my other hand in my pocket. And finally, I said, "Okay, ma'am, here's the way this is going to go down." And then some people in the audience were yelling at her to shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So they're mostly on your side.
Oh, everybody was on my side except her.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And somebody said, we came here for comedy. She goes, well, this is not comedy. And I said, well, it would be comedy if you'd let me get the fucking joke out. Right? And so finally, I said, this is the way this is going to go down, ma'am. This is obviously not the show for you, so I think you should leave. And she goes, I'm not going anywhere. And I said, okay, well, here's the way we're going to do this. You see that phone on the wall? That's a security phone. If you say one more word, I'm going to go over there and call security, and they're going to come here and haul your ass down to the brig and lock you up because you are officially in violation of the guest conduct policy. Now, I wasn't going to do this, but since you've been such a bitch, I'm going to do the next 25 minutes of just fag jokes. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do. And just at that very moment, there was an African waiter right in the front row, a waiter from Africa. And I said, do you see this guy? This is my lover, Mobani Ungema from Nigeria. And I was sitting on his big, massive black penis this morning. And let me tell you what they say. It is true. And I just went on, and the audience was
crying.
They were screaming, and she was sitting there the whole time. She was furious, but I won. And then after the show,
she wrote a complaint.
Oh, half of the audience after the show went up to the guest relations desk to complain about her.
Yeah.
And it turns out that she had been flagged already that week. What they call on a ship, they flag you.
Right.
If you're a guest that's causing trouble, she'd already been flagged because she was making racist comments at dinner.
Oh, yeah, she's a piece of
She's
work.
a fucking bitch.
I'm surprised they didn't remove her, though.
There wasn't anybody in there.
They're going to throw her on the overboard?
I would have had to.
Can you imagine?
No, yeah, right. But no, I mean, I had a few instances like that. There was one club in, I think it was Milwaukee, where an audience member threw a shot glass at me and it shattered on the back wall. Yeah.
Why'd they throw a shot glass?
Because I started doing my gay stuff.
You know what? See, people don't understand.
This was 20 years ago.
But also, you got to remember, alcohol involved intensifies the situation.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, I would get political a little bit, and so I was not just out on stage.
Right.
I started to do some jokes that were like, basically calling them out on their shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this is the year 2000. I think if we're not we want to have a family.
You know
too,
what the best part of like homophobe people? I like it when they have kids and they're gay.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh yeah, that's
because then all of a sudden they're not.
But it's changed now. There's all these young gay comedians now that it's like. A couple of them are really taking off in the industry.
Well, you paved the way.
Yeah, that's
guys
what I feel like.
you,
I do feel like you guys did that.
You broke down the walls.
We did indeed.
You broke down the walls.
There was a woman before me named Kate Clinton.
Oh yeah, she's big in Provincetown.
Yeah, she's retired now, I think, but she was the first out gay comedian on TV. Period.
Oh really?
Yep. She was the one.
What did she do? Letterman?
No,
remember.
she never did. I don't think.
Yeah,
I worked with her several times, and she was incredibly intelligent and incredibly smart. But she was, again, political.
Yeah.
And it's like the way they look at it is, they get mad if you're political and they don't agree, especially now. They get really mad.
I feel like I
That's
can't
why,
say. I wouldn't do any political jokes now. It's like,
I do.
I know.
I do, but they're
Judy
good.
Gold does too.
But they're good jokes.
Yeah, as long as
they're funny jokes. What it is the problem is.
Give us one.
Well, it's like I do a joke about Melania Trump and how I was talking to my mother. My mother's very Southern. And my mother's very conservative, and I said, I'm going to write a joke about Melania Trump, and my mother said, honey, don't make fun of her. She doesn't know what's going on. She's in way over her head. She thinks she's at the zoo. And these are all animals she's looking at. That's why she always has that look on her face like, what'd that tiger just say?
You know what I like?
You know what I mean?
You know what I like about you did a joke. You used to do a joke in your act about your mother where she worked. Do you know that joke I'm talking about?
Where she worked?
Yeah, the Park and Blow, or was that a made up?
Oh,
thing?
Park and Blow. That was made up.
Oh, that was made up.
I
I
was-
thought there
she-
really was a place
That
called
was
the
a
Park
lo-
and
that
Blow.
was a, there was a place called Park and Blow.
Where you're
yes.
from?
There was Park and Blow.
And what
it
is
was,
the Park and
It
Blow?
was one of those drive-in restaurants. And it was when I was a little boy, and it was a Park and Blow. You'd go in and park and blow your horn, and they'd come out and take your order, right? Park and Blow.
I love that
and
it's called
and
that.
the
We have a park and blow by my house, but it's a little different.
It's the garage. It's your garage, right? But that was made up about how my mother used to be a waitress. At
Oh yeah,
Park
I
and
thought
Blow.
that was real. Oh,
No,
okay.
that was. But you know what? There's a couple of jokes that there are a couple of things about my parents that are really true.
What?
Well, I did a joke on my Comedy Central special. This is like 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Did they get pissed?
My mother did.
Oh really? What's
The
the
joke was my father asked me inappropriate questions. He said, "Son, what is it that the two of you do?" About me and my husband.
Yeah.
What do you do? And I said, well, Dad, all those things you really wish Mom would do, but she won't. That's what we do.
That's hilarious.
And my mother said, don't tell that joke. The whole country does not need to know what I don't do.
She don't care what you do. That is
How
got funny.
How were they your family when you came out to them? Were you out before you came out to them? Like
I was out at least 10 years before I came out to them.
Didn't
Because I
they
didn't
know? They didn't know.
Yeah, they had an idea.
I
In
s-
fact, my father said, no kidding, when you're 30 years old and the only woman you've mentioned is Barbara Streisand, that's pretty much a dead giveaway.
Oh, so they knew. Was your father like a real man?
No,
Like
my
football?
dad's a
No?
great guy. My parents were community theater actors.
They were.
Yeah, they were stars
Well,
in their
that-
local community
that-
theater.
that
So they would hang
makes-
around gay guys all the time. So.
Right. So
Oh,
they
so
were
it
okay.
didn't throw them then.
It didn't
when
throw
you
them
were
that
gay.
much. It took them it took them a while.
What, to get used to the idea?
Uh-huh. But also I didn't come out until I was with my husband for 3 years. Because I didn't come out to them during the 80s because everybody was dying.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
they
that
would've
would
been
have
afraid-
scared the
upset them.
shit out of
See,
them.
those of you who are young,
It was AIDS all
it
over
was
the place.
the young people today have literally no idea. If they think the times are bad now, try living through the AIDS crisis.
You know what? It was weird.
When you would go to your you had this young beautiful friend, and all of a sudden they're 30 years old and they're in the hospital and they've got leukemia
yeah.
or some bullshit.
Big black
Oh yeah,
sores and the whole fucking thing.
Oh, it was all over it was horrible.
And at one point, nobody knew how anybody got it.
Yeah, I know.
So, you were working with all these gay waiters and you'd all be sharing desserts
It
and
was-
whatever.
yeah, it
and
was-
then you're like, do you think we can share the forks
Oh, the
and
whole
the
thing.
cakes and the
It was-
nobody knew
it
how
was
it was
just
spread. Was it in the
awful.
saliva?
It was
You know?
Who
awful.
was it that was playing? Was it Rock Hudson and Linda Evans? He had AIDS, didn't he?
Yeah.
Rock Hudson
And
had AIDS.
didn't he make out with?
He
I don't
kissed her and she had some problem. I'm not sure.
She was worried that she.
Oh,
something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I came out to them, but I wanted to make sure that I had a serious relationship. So I
So
had
they wouldn't
something
be worried.
So they wouldn't be worried.
Because I
I'm
read
in a
in you-
monogamous relationship
Yeah.
and a monotonous relationship.
You are monogamous? A lot of gay guys say that they're not monogamous.
Well, you would never ask that of a straight couple.
I know.
See, so you don't ask it of a
You
gay
don't
couple.
ask it of gay
Nope.
people.
I won't answer.
Well,
it.
I didn't ask you. You
no,
said
don't.
it.
I said it.
You said it. So I'm like, I was just repeating what you
Yeah.
said. Oh,
But
you're
no,
a monogamous.
No, but they always assume. You know what I
That
mean?
you're not.
That you're not.
Because I'll tell you why. Because men are freer with sex than women are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not anymore. I think women are now out of control as much as men were back
Mm-hmm.
in the day. But back in the day, men always were promiscuous and women were the homebodies that stayed at home. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they assume that guys are going to be more promiscuous.
Right.
I think that's the assumption.
Nobody can turn down a blowjob.
They can't?
Yeah.
Should we see what anybody's writing
It's
in?
impossible.
Let's see.
Someone wrote, "Come to South Florida."
Why? What's in South Florida?
I don't know. They just everybody's
Blowjobs?
waving. Everybody blowjobs.
I can't think of a more aptly titled.
When it has the word
podcast.
job, when it has the word job in it, I can't be involved. I don't work.
I know, that's true.
Did
It's
you
true.
did you get married again, Patty?
I did. I married.
I told
Carrie
you.
made me marry my fiance.
When?
She humiliated
When
me
did
into
you
marrying
when
him.
did you get married again?
February.
of this year.
Yeah. Just
Well,
after 16 years.
congratulations.
16
16 years.
And my ex-husband also got married.
He did?
He's married to a guy now. And he got married before I got married. And he had just met him like a year before he got married.
So now he's getting your pension.
That's right. He's getting Eric's pension. I don't get the pension now. After all those fucking years I put in with that guy, no pension. Can you fucking believe that?
Life is rough.
Loved, D-Train
Wait.
says, loved Jim's card game scene in Louis' show. You
No,
were on
that
Louis'
wasn't me. That was Rick Chrome.
Rick
Oh,
Chrome is
right,
getting
right,
the
right,
gays
right.
confused
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Rick Chrome.
That wasn't
Rick,
me.
Rick Chrome doesn't come out on. Does he say he's gay on?
Sure.
Oh,
yeah.
yes,
Oh,
he
yeah.
definitely says
Oh, yeah.
he's gay.
He used to play the piano. I remember
Still
that.
does. No, that was. I get confused with Rick all the time.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't think you two look alike at all.
I
Me
don't
neither.
either.
But just because we're middle aged and we're gay.
Gay, right? And
You
you
know.
both work at the cellar.
Yeah, we both work at the cellar. Yeah.
But you have completely...
There's this wonderful documentary about Rick.
Oh,
This student of his, because he teaches class. You know, he's
at the cellar.
he's one of the number. Are you a student of his? Yeah. You were. Yeah.
You were? I didn't
And
know that.
well, there's a movie that was made, and it came out last year, called Oh Rick, and Ray Romano's in it, Sarah Silverman's in it, Judy Gold is in it, Wanda Sykes, and Bobby Kelly, and John Manfrotati,
Yeah.
and me,
John Man, we were
And-
just
We're
talking
just
about
talking
John
about the
Manfrotati.
hot
and,
John
uh,
Manfrotati.
and,
Sexy he is.
and me, and some others I can't remember, but it's all about Rick, and it's all about the life of a comedian that is still working but not famous. You know what I mean? And
could
it's
be
sort
any
of
one of us.
it's also
It's
yeah
like a lot of people I
yeah
know.
yeah it's also the history of the Comedy Cellar, sort of,
Oh, okay.
and at least of Rick's time in the Comedy Cellar, and it's a really good documentary.
Where
And
is it? On
It hasn't
Netflix?
come out yet because they're having trouble getting. They use a lot of television clips,
Okay.
and they're having trouble clearing some of the rights. It's just held up by lawyers and stuff.
Okay.
But it won the audience award at the New York City Documentary Festival
Oh, really?
last January or something like that.
Yeah, he's a funny
And it
guy.
was it's a really fun documentary. And there's a whole sequence where Rick and I and Judy and Wanda talk about coming out on stage and what that was
Oh,
like.
yeah, I forgot Wanda Sykes is gay.
Yeah.
She was married. Her last name was Hall. Remember?
No.
Yeah, she was
It was
married.
Wanda Sykes Hall.
She
Yeah,
was married to a man?
Yes, she
Yes.
was. Mm-hmm.
She
And
was
then
married to a man?
realized it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Did she think she was straight when she
No,
married
she
him?
was. She was. I mean, I don't know the story, but she intimated to me at one point I was living a lie.
No,
You know
yeah.
what I
So
mean?
she thought she was straight, but no, right. The husband didn't know she was gay.
Right, right.
Just like you didn't know your man was.
Well, I
gay.
knew he had been gay, but I thought you can get over it.
Outgrow it.
All women think that.
You do think that.
All women think
but
that.
now people are more knowledgeable
My
about
high
being
school,
gay.
I had a high school girlfriend. I mean, a college girlfriend.
And you had sex with her?
Oh, a lot.
See,
My senior year.
Gay guys can have sex,
Yeah, it was.
but it wasn't good.
Did
yeah,
you
well,
go?
it was
Wait,
all, it was all right, but I
fucking
couldn't.
her is one thing.
I-
Could you go down on
I
her?
did. I went down on her.
And didn't
How
go
was
through
that?
It smelled like the leftovers from an Eskimo picnic.
Okay.
That's
now
I
we have.
just stole that
So what-
phrase.
wait.
I have to. Somebody out there
Who
sees this.
said it?
This is from a Tom Robbins novel called Another Roadside Attraction, and the way he describes a woman smelling after sex, she smelled like the leftovers from an Eskimo picnic, and I'll never
Oh,
forget that.
my
I'll never
God.
forget that as long
Okay,
as I
but
live.
you powered through it.
Oh, I powered through it. All right. She was. And
Adam likes that
and
because
she wanted-
Adam powers through it.
she wanted to have sex all the time. And then finally, when I told her, I was realizing this is not going to work. And I told her, and I thought she.
You told her you were gay.
Yeah, and I thought I was just coming out.
But
Period,
wait a
to
minute,
anybody.
were you fully erect, or could you like have you had to really think of like a
Listen to
man?
this. Listen to this
Because
fucking
I thought
show.
I
What the
couldn't.
fuck is this show?
I don't.
What do you mean was I fully erect?
Could you? Because if she's not turning you on,
She was turning. Yes, I was fully erect.
so you were turned on by
I mean,
her.
I liked her a lot, and she was a good kisser.
So
and we
see,
had
gay
fun.
guys can have
We had
sex
some
with
sex.
women.
It was fun. It was fun.
But you weren't. You weren't like
But when I told her,
in your
finally,
heart of hearts.
I was more into guys, and when I told her, she had a fit, and I thought she was
Had a
gonna.
fit?
She had a fit. I thought she was gonna be okay with it.
She
but
was probably in love with you
She was, yeah. And
Aw.
I broke her heart. And
because you're
she
fun
said-
to be with. You're a funny guy.
Yeah.
Women like funny guys. You're cute.
Yeah. Well, she was brokenhearted.
Really?
Yeah.
So after her, that was it. No more girls.
No.
And then you went on to boys.
No,
How
who wants a fucking Eskimo picnic smell? I wouldn't. That's why I'm not
this
gay.
show is so inappropriate.
I don't know how straight guys
This
put
is
up
I'm
with
not
so
it.
gay.
inappropriate.
I'm not gay for that reason.
If that's what, because Adam told us
Don't
it
listen
smells
when
like
you're publicizing
pennies.
this. When
Yeah.
you're publicizing this,
Don't put that in.
for God's sake, don't put in.
Eskimo
Carrie
picnic.
asks if Jim
Wait.
was fully
We're
erect.
not
Somebody writes he used 2 popsicle sticks to prop it up.
To prop what up?
His penis.
Was that D Train?
Yes.
Yeah. D Train's always fucking hilarious. How old were you when you knew you were gay, or you didn't know?
Oh, I don't know. 13.
Oh, you did know.
So you know.
So you knew.
Yeah.
What about 5? When you're 5, weren't you
no,
looking at boys?
had
and-
no idea.
No idea. Did
No
you even know
idea.
what it was? Like it wasn't even
Not
a
really.
thing.
No,
No,
I
I
didn't know
don't
what it is
think-
until I did it.
I don't think kids
Oh, you
that
did it
age
at
know.
13?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how'd you find somebody?
Well, I was spending the night with a guy, and we were in the 7th grade, and he got into bed with me.
So he must have known he was gay.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah.
I'll
Wait
say.
a minute, but you're 13.
Yeah,
Do
we were-
boys
How'd
even
you know
have
what to
testicles?
do?
We were both 13. Yes, we had testicles.
But you know what to do?
Yes, I did. It was like falling off a bicycle.
Falling
you get
off?
right back up.
Wait
I
a
was like,
minute.
oh, well, this is for me. This is fun.
Okay, so you weren't. So it basically, you knew at a young age, and then still wanted to go out with women
Because
to-
I had to. Because I
'Cause
was
it was the norm.
Because I was forced to.
That was
because,
the norm.
Because look, I'm old, and this is back in the day when if you
Weren't allowed.
if you wanted to, I don't want to spend all. Let's talk about comedy. You know.
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
we'll go on that.
You know, but if you knew that life was. All life had to offer you was like a baseball bat to the side of the head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, I got beaten
Oh,
up
oh,
when
oh,
I was a
you-
kid.
because
when
you're gay.
I mean, when I was a kid, I got beaten up a bunch of times. I got somebody tried to run me over with a car. I got put in the hospital.
You got
You
put in
know?
the hospital.
Yeah, and then finally I said, "Mom, cut it out."
I fell for
See
that.
what I did that?
I fell
See
for
what
that.
I did there?
I fell
Da
for it.
da da. I had to feel. You felt sorry for me for a second.
I did.
And
I
then
did.
it was just a fucking joke.
Listen, but kids are still mean because they still call each other gay.
I
in
did get
school.
beaten up. I did get beaten up.
Oh, you actually did.
Yeah, some people in the 8th grade, I'll never forget it. I was walking downtown because there was this drugstore that I like to go to downtown and have a soda
Oh no.
in the 8th grade
Yeah.
and some ice cream after school
Yeah.
because my high school was right close to downtown.
Oh no.
And I walked down, and these 3 guys threw me in the vestibule of a store that was closed,
My God.
and they beat the living crap out of me and then ran away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'll never
Did
forget
your
it.
father say go beat them back up, or did anybody know?
I don't think I ever told my parents.
Oh.
I don't think I told them.
Oh.
You know, I think I came home that day and said I fell
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I don't think I told them.
You know, Kevin Meaney had told me this story. He said,
Oh, Kevin.
I know, Kevin Meaney,
I
the funniest.
know.
It's
It
like
was
Talk
so-
about a guy who didn't come out for quite a while.
I know.
He told me when he was young, like, I forget how old, but maybe 13, maybe a little older than that. He had one of those things where it was a sleepover or a thing, and they fooled around and whatever, and he was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And the next day, that kid was calling him faggot with his friends at school. So in other words, here he thinks he's had this great break, wonderful, and then this guy just like went after him, like turned on him and pretended that
it never
he had
happened.
that it
well,
never
he wanted
happened.
to beat him to the punch.
Yeah, he pretended it never happened and then turned on him. So I mean, there's a lot to deal with. All right, but now you want to talk about? Let's talk about comedy.
Well, no,
now.
but there's also it's interesting because there's a lot to deal with in comedy too, which is like an interesting parallel.
Yeah.
Because every time we go on stage, we have to have the confidence to say, "Hi, everybody. I'm going to entertain you for the next
45 minutes.
45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And you're only going to look at me." And you have to be able to pull that off. And there's a certain thing towards like being proud of who you are with your sexuality or your gender identity or whatever. You know what I mean?
I
You
do
know-
think that the best comics are people who are who they are.
Yes, they're
the,
not.
The,
they're
the
not.
people who are pretending to be something else. You can smell it from a crowd.
Yeah.
You
Fake.
sniff it out, and you don't like it, and you don't necessarily know why, but you don't like them. And the ones that are likable are the ones that are who they are
And don't give a shit if
and
you
don't
like
give
them.
a fuck.
Yeah, and don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't
You have to. That took a long time because that was almost me coming out as a comedian. It took, I would say, a good 15, 16 years doing comedy before I was like, okay, this is what I've got. This, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And because the audience has been my friend my whole career. I've always had a really good relationship with the audience. They've always supported me, much more so than the industry or the booker at the Tonight Show or whoever.
Right.
You know what
but it's the audience has always been.
You know what I realized? That every couple of years you get to another level up, and you're like, wow, I actually wasn't that as good as as I am
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And then a couple of years later, you're up again and up again. You keep growing up this ladder
Mm-hmm.
in comedy.
That's what's so sad about them not being interested in older comics, because you become more who
you're at the
are.
top of your game
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Until
Go ahead,
I'm never
bitches.
listen.
until you get senile.
I am as funny as I don't think I've ever been as good as I am now.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
I'm-
at the
I'm-
top of
I'm-
your game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would love to do a special, but
We'll get you one.
well, all right. Yeah.
Carrie, manager Carabas.
It'll be called Could He Keep It Up?
How did he keep
Jim
it up?
David, how did he keep it up?
These are the questions.
Just looking at a pussy would make me sick. I can't look at mine.
Carrie, I can't look at mine either. I don't even want to smell mine, for God's sake. It's like, it's all horrible.
What the fuck
We're
is this?
tired twice.
What the fuck is this show I'm doing? How did I end up? How did I end up here?
I'm sorry. All right, let's ask something that doesn't have to do with a vagina or a dick, because I do have questions. Oh, by the way, you wrote for, but this also has to do with gay, but it is a question I want to ask
What?
you. You wrote for The Advocate, why gay men love the theater. Okay, explain to me, why do gay men love the theater? Because my ex-husband, theater, he writes for theater, he loves musicals, he takes my daughters to theater. Straight men never want to go to the theater.
My husband fell asleep. We went to see,
Yeah,
I don't
they-
remember the producers,
Right.
whatever. And I look over at him. He's like,
They don't give a shit.
how come?
My husband does not want to go see theater. They just don't give a shit about theater. And whenever like the Tonys are on, I'm like, oh my God, the Tonys, But what is it?
It's the place where gay men have always been accepted.
Oh, okay.
And they've always been accepted. And in the New York theater, if you're gay, it's almost a career move. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You have
that's
to be.
true. Like
No, you don't have to
Well,
be. No.
it
Bob
helps.
Fosse
But,
wasn't gay.
No, he wasn't.
One of the few.
Not at all.
Yeah, he wasn't really.
Not
right?
at all.
He- I'm just reading-
Did you see Fosse Verdon?
Not only did I read, I'm reading the book, that big fucking book.
Yeah.
I was just reading it. It made me sad. He fucked all these women.
All these
He'd bring them
dancers.
back to
Yeah.
his room.
Yeah.
They'd fall madly in love with him, and then he'd move on to the next one. It was only about the, what's that word
Kill.
called? The kill. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just wanted to get in there, and then he moved to the next one.
But theater
and
is.
they stayed in love
there's
with him,
certain.
these
I mean,
women.
like theater and like I was. See, because when I was a kid, my parents learned pretty early on that I was not going to be an athlete because
Right.
I could not catch a ball. My father tried to take me outside. You know what I mean? My father jokes about it. He says, "Well, there went my Yankees tickets." 'Cause, you know what I mean? He wanted me to grow up and play for the New York Yankees.
He did?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah.
And then he was
Right.
throwing a ball in the front yard, and he was like, "Well, fuck that."
Wait, is
But-
it just you, or you have a brother? Or
I have
is-
two sisters.
Two sisters.
But,
So he
but-
You're not athletic at all? You don't play any?
No, I never was at all. I couldn't do it. I just wasn't. Not only that, I have a joke where I say I resent as a man that I'm supposed to even know about sports.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know anything. I don't pay any attention. I didn't know who O.J. I thought O.J. Simpson was just an actor until when he got arrested.
Oh, funny.
I didn't know he was a huge.
Heisman Trophy
I didn't
winner.
know he was a Heisman. I didn't know that. I didn't know who Michael Jordan really was until I saw the Bugs Bunny movie that he
I
did.
thought he made shoes.
That's
sneakers.
literally how clueless
he
I
made
was.
shoes.
Yeah,
I thought he was a tall black man who made shoes.
who made shoes. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
I know. Why should you know?
But my parents were in community theater, so they got me to audition for The Wizard of Oz when I was in the 5th grade, and I was a munchkin.
Were you a munchkin with lines?
I said, "We thank you very sweetly for doing it so neatly." But the opening night, listen to this. We had to go out in the dark at the beginning of the scene,
Yeah.
so that when the lights came up, the munchkins were down like little plants, and we had little flowers on our heads.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, I was 9 years old, and the opening night in the dark. That was our first audience.
Yeah.
We didn't have previews. This was
Right,
it.
right.
You know, this was like
Scary.
Scary. Oh,
Yeah.
it was. We were just Oh
Terrifying.
my God, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Right. And it was only one scene. It's
Right.
just the Munchkins and Ding Dong the Witch is dead. Right.
Right.
But this fat guy named Robin fell on me. And
What do
then
you mean?
He fell on me in the dark.
Was
as we're-
he a munchkin
Yeah,
also?
he was a Munchkin also.
A fat one.
He was fat. He was bigger than me. And then when the lights came up, he was on top of me, and I couldn't move or breathe. So I'm sitting there turning blue, like, but he couldn't move. He explained later because we're supposed to be plants. Dorothy and said, "We thank you very sweetly for sweetly, sweetly, sweetly." And then the girl,
It's close enough.
the girl Heather, who had the next line, I fucked her up. So she said, "You sweetly so completely that we're thank you that you killed her." She was supposed to say, "You killed her so completely that we thank you very sweetly." And then we finally got through the song Ding Dong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I finally realized, oh, these are my moves. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
came back to think. But when we went backstage, Heather was like a couple of grades ahead of me.
Yeah.
And she comes up, "What the hell was that?" "What do you mean? Sweetly, sweetly, sweetly." And literally for years, several years, the kids that were in that show would say,
Called you
"Sweetly,
sweet,
sweetly,
sweet."
sweetly." Yeah. But then
Horrible.
I did children's theater shows all through junior high and high school.
Oh my God.
And so I fell in love with the whole process of performing for that was why I was pretty strong when I started doing
yeah,
comedy.
because you've been in
Because you had
front
the
of
background.
audiences.
Because
You had the background.
I'd already been in theater for
Yeah.
a long time, and I was a drama major in college,
I
and I
was
came to New
too.
York. I came to New York to be an actor, and the theater said, "We don't really see you as an actor. We see you as an usher."
An
was-
usher.
Yeah,
That was my problem too. I was a pig. I got a pig named Ty or Tick. He was Tic Tac Toe. I was either Tick or Ty or Toe the pig. But anyway, I was one of the 3 Tic Tac Toe pigs. And children's theater, and then I was in Gay Dracula. I was naked in Gay Dracula, and then that was it.
That
And
was
her
it.
father,
Theater
her
career.
father came to see her in
No,
Gay Dracula.
he wanted to come see me. He said he was bringing his friend from work, and I was like, "No, Dad, you can't come." And he's like, "Why not?" I go, let me talk to Mom." And my mother's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "My tits are showing in this. I take my
Yeah.
my tits to make Dracula go away." And, it was the breasts of a virgin to make Dracula fucking lose his power. So anyway, my dad was very disappointed. But anyway, that was my whole theater. Those 2 shows, and that was the end of my theater career.
Yeah, well,
And then I
I
got
did
into
lots of theater, and then I was a
improv.
high school drama teacher before I was
You
doing comedy.
what?
Yes, I was.
Wow, you've got
Yeah,
You
I
have
was.
a full life.
I was a high school drama teacher. I directed lots of plays and lots of musicals with high school kids, and I loved it.
Really?
I loved it. I didn't want to make a career of it
Why?
because of dealing with the administration and the
oh
pa-
yeah,
the parents.
schools are horrible.
You know, it's dealing with the kids. If it was just them, it would have been great.
Why? What do
But
the parents do? They
They
want the
very
kids-
get
they're
involved
very
all the time.
they're very intrusive.
Really?
You know, my daughter doesn't have enough lines.
My kid this,
the
my
part
kid
your
that.
daughter is cast in the part, and those are the lines.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
give her another. Put her in. Why can't she be Sally Bowles? Well, no, because she's older and fatter, and she's Fräulein Kost. She's playing the whore.
She's the old fat bitch. That's why.
She's the old fat one. But also, in addition to the fact that gay men are accepted in the theater, they love the fantasy of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot. That's why they love drag, because it's a fantasy. You know what I
But
mean?
why wouldn't straight guys like a fantasy? Adam, why don't you want a fantasy?
I just want a different kind of fantasy.
Yeah.
We all want fantasies.
Everybody
It's
wants
just-
fantasy.
but
it's
just
not-
a different. It's just a different thing. But then occasionally you'll have like there's a lot of like one of my friends is in the theater in New York is Danny Burstein, who is a really well known Broadway performer, and he's straight. He's got a wife and 2 kids. He's actually in Moulin Rouge, the musical, and we're going to the opening night of that on Thursday.
Nice.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, you go to all these shows. I was looking through your Facebook today to see things, and every picture is you with. It's like a who's who of everybody in the theater, and you're like, and all these. You know, my favorite picture. I don't even know if you will know this person, Carrie, because you're too young. Kitty Carlisle, you're in a picture with.
I met Kitty. Do you know who Kitty Carlisle
Do you guys
was?
know who Kitty Carlisle? No
I
one
know
who's
the
listening
name.
is going
I
to
know
know
the
Kitty
name.
Carlisle.
No, but
is.
listen. Let me.
You have to
let me,
be over 60.
Well,
I
let me
think.
explain who Kitty Carlisle
Okay.
was. When I was a little boy, she was on a show. Kitty Carlisle was a New York City
Socialite.
She was an actress when she was very young,
Right.
And she was in the Marx Brothers' A Night at the Opera,
Right.
and
Very
playing
pretty.
a soprano, very pretty. Then she married a playwright and a director called Moss Hart,
Right.
who directed the original production of My Fair Lady with Julie Andrews and
Mm-hmm.
Rex Harrison. He also wrote plays with George S. Kaufman, like You Can't Take It With You and the front, a bunch of plays.
Right.
Moss Hart and George S. Kaufman were huge. And so Kitty Carlisle became a New York City socialite, and very much a party giver, and sort of like Anna Wintour or somebody.
Right.
She was just anyway.
But I knew her from the TV show.
She was on To Tell the
To
Truth.
Tell the Truth, which was my favorite
Oh
show.
yes,
She was
the
on to-
brunette. Was she a brunette?
She was
Yes.
a brunette, yes.
Yes, I
and
remember
she would
her.
always.
That's
she
where
would,
I know her
She would
from.
always come on To Tell the Truth with these fabulous gowns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So she-
jewelry.
yes, jewelry, and they say, and Kitty Carlisle, and she would come out, yes, and she was
Yeah,
just.
Did she
was like
smoke? She was a smoker.
No.
Some of them used to smoke on.
But-
Yeah, they did smoke on the panel.
But I met Kitty Carlisle a couple of times. One time was at I think the MAC Awards, the Manhattan Association.
yeah.
I won like 3 of those.
Oh, yeah,
for
nice.
being a comedian, and that was the Manhattan Association of Clubs and Cabarets.
Right.
And I met Kitty at that, and then later, she had somehow my husband's work had something to do with her, and we ended up going to a cocktail reception at her apartment.
Oh, what
And
was
it
that apartment like?
It was like one of those big old 8-room apartments
To have
on the
antiques
Upper
and
West.
fancy
Oh yes,
snazzy?
she had a.
She's
had
money, lots of money.
Well, it's like she had pictures. She said, "Let me just show you, Jim." So this was painted by George Gershwin.
Painted.
Painted. And
Wow.
she said, "And this Groucho Marx painted for me."
Are they paintings of her?
No, they're just paint.
Oh my God,
know,
that's
like
so
pictures.
funny.
And she would say, "Oh, and this is," and I was joking, and I'd say, "Well, where's your picture with FDR?" And she goes, "Oh, over here." And she had a pic.
Wow.
She knew everybody. She was,
Yeah.
she was like the classiest lady, and it was just such a thrill to even be in the same room with
That's so
her.
cool you were at her
because
house.
yeah, sure.
What about Joan Rivers? You knew her?
I worked with Joan a bunch of times. Yeah, and I knew her. The last time I saw her was at her Fashion Police taping when she did it here in New York.
Were you on the show?
No, I was in the audience.
Oh.
She had Adam Lambert on the show, and my friend who was writing for it knew that I liked Adam Lambert a lot.
He's really great.
Well, I just love his voice. But anyway, so I said, he said, "You want to come meet Adam Lambert?" And I said, "Sure." And I go, and Joan noticed, "Jim, come here." She goes, how you doing? I haven't seen you in so long. And I said, "I'm fine, blah, blah, blah." And she goes, "Where's your southern accent?" And I'm like, oh, she remembered. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I did a show with Joan at Town Hall called Joan Rivers and Her Funny Friends.
Yeah.
And that was a
But you were on the show with her?
Uh-huh. She was the host.
Oh, wow.
She was
That's
the-
a
she
cool
was the
show to
host.
be on.
Lynn Coppola was on that too, wasn't it?
Could have been.
Wasn't she?
I mean, Lynn was a friend of Joan's.
Yeah.
At the end. Yeah.
What does your husband do?
And he's in the music industry.
Okay,
Music
so he's
publishing.
still in the same
Yeah.
entertainment and all
Uh-huh.
that. So
Yeah.
he understands the world you're
Oh,
living
sure.
in.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's hard for straight people, not straight.
It's hard for
civilians
for
who are
civilians.
not in the business when you go away for a week. Or, I had an old boyfriend
If
used
you-
to say to me, "Well, this working on the weekends has got to stop." And I'm like, "The working on the weekends, this can't stop. This is like what I do. Like, what do you mean?" He goes, "I never get to see you."
If
Yeah,
if
well,
you are in the arts, if you
Right.
are in movies, television, theater, or comedy,
yeah,
and you're a performer, your spouse had, by God, better understand
yeah,
because you're going to be gone a lot, and that's it.
And
Yeah.
it won't
mean,
work. It won't work if it.
I mean,
if they
I'm
don't.
literally gone half. I'm traveling 25, 30 weeks every year.
I can't believe you
now,
travel that much.
I take a lot. Yeah, I do, and I take a lot. I mean, I'm on vacation right now. You're getting me in the middle of my vacation.
Okay.
I came back from the beach today for you, bitch.
Ah,
I
we
came
love
back
you.
from the beach. I came back
Wow.
from the beach for you
Thank you
guys.
so much.
And I'm going to go back to the beach on Friday. And
What
Do you have a
big-
house on
Hamptons?
the
Yeah,
beach?
Hamptons?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, you have a
Where
house
are you?
there.
Fire
Yeah.
Island, Hamptons?
I'm not going to tell you.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
I'll find you.
Connecticut.
Carrie will be there with her boat and her,
Moffat.
Yeah.
Right.
she'll be.
But
hooking up to
I'm
your
on
dock.
vacation. I'm going to go back for 10 more days.
Good for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because I work my ass off fall, winter, spring to be able to take off time in the summer.
Yeah.
Very
So you
nice.
got to
That's
enjoy your life a little.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. You know, and I've never had because like people, what, you're not working? What, you're just sitting around? That's exactly what I'm doing. I am sitting, I'm writing, I'm reading. And also I have never, and I really believe this here. I don't think I've ever had that much of a desire to be all that famous.
Really?
It doesn't,
I believe that too.
it doesn't burn in my, like, I'm not bitter about the fact that I'm not really as famous as, say, Jim Gaffigan or Bill Burr, who
Right.
we started out with.
Oh, okay.
Or, you know what I mean? Or even Ray Romano, but that's a whole other thing because he did a TV show and now he's worth $300 million. You know what I mean? But I don't see. I experience fame on a very small level, and people stare at you when you're in a restaurant. They're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
everywhere.
there's Jim David."
You don't have your free
Yeah.
moment.
They stare at you, and I'm like, "Get the fuck away from me." You know what I mean?
creepy.
Like Ray Romano. I was in this Comedy Cellar, and Ray Romano walked in, and Ray Romano walked in, and everybody knew who he was. Everybody.
And you didn't like that?
No,
That
the people on the street knew who he was. Everybody in the restaurant knew who he was.
Right.
And people are, "Hey, Ray. Hey, look, it's Ray. Hey, Ray. How are you? Ray. How you doing? How you doing?"
That's a good impression.
No, but I said, "How do you deal
1,000
with-
times a day.
How do you deal with this wherever you go?" And he said, "Having 250 million helps." And, he
And
was
you know what he
joking.
told me?
He was joking, but
He said to me once, I go, Ray, you have bodyguards.
yeah,
And he goes, I also have a therapist.
yeah. Is that what he said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to understand all this.
Well, it's a lot, and
He's the nicest guy, too.
I know
by
he's
the way.
he's one of
He's
the
like
ones.
somebody that you're happy he made it
You-
because
yeah.
he's a great fucking guy.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
well, he's one
And
of the
he
ones,
deserved it.
and you'll agree that he's one of the ones. You know how comedians change
Yeah.
when they get famous?
Right.
All of a sudden, they have a lot of them
Right.
like have no room for you anymore.
right,
And
right.
you were performing. You and I were performing with them not more than a few years ago,
Right.
in this room on
Right,
this stage.
at the comic strip,
right?
absolutely.
Right. And now they're famous, and it's like, oh, hello. And I'm not going to name names, but we all know several comedians who
Absolutely.
Dennis Leary.
Who
I'll
used-
name names. I was at the fucking View, and I was doing warm up, and I'm like, Dennis, hey, and he's just like looks at me like doesn't know who I am. I go, oh, Patty Rossborough. He goes, and just walked right away. But Ray Romano at the View, I'm doing warm up. I walk over and I go, hey, Ray, and he goes, Patty Rossborough, how are you? How's Eric? And I go, oh, we're divorced. He knows who I
We're
am.
divorced
Remembers
now.
my
He's
husband.
gay.
Sure.
He's like, but he was so nice
No, Ray-
to me.
Ray's
Like,
still
and
the
he
s-
was famous at that point.
but he's still pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The last time I saw him was I think last year at the Comedy Cellar, and he goes, you look the same.
You know,
look the
Ray
same, but
Romano.
he's a good guy.
One night I worked a lot with Ray, but one night I'm at Governor's and he goes to me, all these young guys are getting all these deals. He goes, and
Ray
I'm all,
says this?
Yeah, and he goes, because at the time Greg Rogel got a deal, Gallo was getting deals, and he goes, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm the old guy, but and then he does 4 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and he becomes a superstar. But I remember him complaining at Governor's one night. to
See,
me.
I was never one of those. Never. You never would hear me complain that I did not get a deal. Never. I was like, if it's meant to be, it'll
Really?
it'll
I
happen.
agree with you.
Because it's so out of your control. I couldn't do anything about it.
You're right.
And so that's what I mean. All I cared about was making a living and
Money.
making enough money to
Survive.
I
to-
think for me, what happened was
I-
once I went through my menopause, this was the big break for me where I said, oh my God, I guess it's not going to happen. I guess I'm not going to be on Saturday Night Live. I guess I'm not, like where you go, well, wait a minute, this whole thing, where I thought, oh, well, eventually, you get this and then you get famous. And it was very devastating for me to just
Throw in the towel.
yeah, to go. I mean, I haven't thrown in the towel in that I still work and but do I think that I'm going to have fame and what? No. But would I like some money? Yes.
Yes.
I would like to do
Sure.
something that I can have some money so I can retire. But I mean, it seems like you work all the time. You do.
I do.
I don't have that kind of money.
No, I do work.
So I am
do work all the
nervous.
time. But I've
you book
never,
yourself or you have
No,
some...
I have representatives.
Oh, you have representation?
I have representation, darling.
Mm.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
nice.
Bialystok and Bloom.
Mr. David.
But you're
Yes.
fucking hilarious.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
if you're
How much longer
watching,
I've got to go on stage.
Yes, you
pretty
got to
soon.
go. Okay.
but I
mean-
want to tell you one thing. If you're watching us, are listening to us on iTunes, look up Jim David. Google him, and you'll see
You
his
can send,
stand-up.
I got some stand-up on YouTube.
Fucking hilarious.
I should say this. I've got 4 CDs.
Okay, say that. What are the names
The
of them?
first one's called Eat Here and Get Gas. The second one is called Live from Jimville. The third one is called Notorious FAG.
Oh my God,
And
I have
the
to listen
fourth,
to that.
fourth one is called Hard to Swallow.
Honey.
And
your
so
book?
they're-
Tell about
they're
your
all
book.
They're all on iTunes.
Okay.
You can download them for $10, and you can download my Comedy Central special on iTunes.
You can.
Yeah, you go to iTunes and search Comedy Central presents Jim
Do you
David.
get
it's
money
right
for
there.
that?
No, I don't get a cent.
Oh,
I
you
don't get a thing.
cent.
No, so
Comedy
then do the
Central
other
owns the whole
ones.
thing. Huh?
Or even the other ones, the $10 ones.
He gets
I
that.
get money from that.
Yeah,
'cause
so
those
look
are
at
my
those first.
Those are my.
Yeah,
But-
do
But
that.
I'll tell you, you're not going to regret it. You're going to be laughing from the minute you click on
Thank you.
to the minute
Very
you click
funny.
off.
And then I've got a novel that I'm really proud of.
I wanna read
It's-
that.
It's really fun. It's called You'll Be Swell. And it's about the theater. It's about New York City. It's about an actress in New York.
And the lead character is a girl. Now, what made you pick being a girl instead
I'll
of
tell
a
you
guy?
exactly. I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Okay, because sometimes
I
people
was
do that.
I was working on a ship, and when you work on a ship, a lot of the time you're by yourself, and you don't have any. Nobody talks to you.
Right.
You don't have you can go through the whole day without having a conversation with anyone.
Right.
And that's something you have to learn how to deal with.
Okay.
So I write all the time. I'm working on a piece right now that I'm scared of. I'm frightened of it because it's quite political, and it's about the dark side of America and
Okay.
what Trump has unleashed.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
All the hatred that's out there.
Yes.
And it's funny, but it's very serious.
Okay.
And it's something that I couldn't do in a comedy club because it has
Where would you do
long
it?
sketches in a theater somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I've got to finish it first, but anyway, I'm working on it.
Like a
And-
Colin Quinn kind of a one-man show
yes,
thing?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Because this
And-
was political.
Yes, exactly. And I'm also writing a screenplay, a movie I'm writing.
What's that about, or you can't say?
It's about 4 married gay couples in New York City. It's about me and my friends, basically, but fictionalized.
Oh, nice.
Highly fictionalized. Because our lives are not that dramatic. It's a lot of fun, but we need
Yes.
some drama.
Yes.
But the way I started my novel was I was sitting on a ship, and I'm in the dining room, and there's this woman sitting by herself. She's in her mid-30s, and she was pretty but a little chunky, sort of a big girl, but beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But she looked like she was so lonely and so bored, and she was just eating. And I said, well, let me write about her. So I started writing about her, and what she was wearing, and then I started making up a life for her.
Oh, wow.
And then she got up and left, and I quit. I kept writing.
And are you doing it like first person, like I, or are
No.
you doing it like third person, like
No.
this woman? Okay.
In the Island Waves grill, staring at her half-eaten salmon fillet, Lucy thought, I may vomit.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
like, it was just, that's literally how it happened. And then all of a sudden, as I went on, I was making up a life and a history for this person.
Very.
That's
How long
great.
it takes you to write the book? I've been writing a book for 10 years
It
now.
took 5 years from first paragraph to publication.
Oh, okay. And is it,
It took me-
self-published, or you?
I
went
published it. I self-published it with Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so you didn't want to go to a writing
A literary agent.
Yeah, literary agent. That's what I'm trying to say.
I went to some literary agents, and one of them really loved it, and she couldn't sell it for some reason.
Okay.
And it would've-
Self-publishing is the
That's
way
fine.
to go, though.
It
Then you can
exists.
sell your own books.
It
at your
exists, and
shows.
anybody can get it.
Yeah.
And Margaret Cho actually told me to self-publish and self-release my own CDs.
Oh, really?
She said you'll make more money that way.
Yeah.
That's what that was Margaret's idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's
But
smart.
anyway,
Thank you.
She's-
You're ready to go up in about 5 minutes.
no,
We
I
gotta
mean
say goodbye.
she's not going to go. I mean she's supposed to be off by 9:20.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, they can get my novel You'll Be Swell on Amazon. It's a lot of fun. You can get it on Kindle.
Where can they see you?
Huh?
Where can they see you?
Not
perform?
anywhere near. Not
anytime
not,
soon?
Not anywhere anytime soon
Not even
around
the cellar?
around here. I
Gotta
mean,
go on a
they
boat?
They got to go on a boat this fall.
You don't have no cellar
some
spots anywhere?
I do.
All right, so look up at the cellar spots.
You know,
Jim
look
pops
around.
in and out.
I'm around. I put it up on my website sometimes.
Okay.
Like tonight, I'm going to try some new stuff, so I didn't invite anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's jimdavid.com.
ComicJimDavid.com.
Comic
At
Jim.
Comic Jim
They
David
can-
on Twitter.
I'm Comic Jim David on Twitter, and I'm Comic Jim David on Instagram, and I'm Comic Jim David. That's my website.
Great.
So
Perfect.
Well, thank
Easy.
you for coming
Thank you
out.
so much, and thanks for cutting your vacation short to come on.
We love you.
Oh,
Yeah, we
thank
really
you.
do.
Thank you.
You know what I
It's
remember?
really
got a
sweet
lot of
because I've known you two
balls.
for a long time.
This is what I wanted to tell
And
you.
I'm glad
too.
we're still alive and well.
I know, me too.
We're doing.
too.
We
A lot
were-
of our friends have passed.
It's unbelievable.
horrible.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
We've been around for a long time. You know, we knew lots of several comics who we knew Patrice O'Neill. We knew Kevin Meaney. I remember there was a guy named Ronnie Shakes that worked.
Oh,
at
yeah, Ronnie Shakes.
Shakes and
Dennis Wolfberg.
Dennis Wolfberg. A lot of them.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
sad
And I'm
Kevin
and so
Meaney.
we're still here.
in the key.
Okay.
I mean, in
A
the
brick?
slot. It's like a brick.
Okay.
Remember that? A
Yeah.
big brick.
You have
and
to
then
put the key in a slot to keep the
and then-
lights on.
right and then when you go in your room.
Yeah.
When you leave, they give you the key and you go out.
Right.
No,
Right.
when you leave, hold on a second. When you're in your room, the key's not in there. When you go out, you give them your key and they hang it up on the thing.
Okay.
So when you're out of your room, it's up there.
Okay.
So he goes, no, I'm just going to go to bed. All of a sudden I go, all right, fine. So like I go in my room, whatever, I'm hanging out. I'm like, you know what? I'm in Amsterdam. I'm going out. And I go out, I hand him my key, and all of a sudden I see Jim David's keys. And
He
I'm
went
like,
out without
the son
you.
of a bitch went out without me. Look, he went out without me.
I'm sure I went to some bar or something.
Yeah.
I went
sure.
to be with my own kind.
Yes.
So I dumped
I
Carrie.
don't want it. Oh my
She
God.
would have cock
I mean,
blocked
we
you.
went out. We went out the whole week. We were there, but it was like the first. I was like, really?
I have to go. I need about 5 minutes.
Yes,
Love
please.
you.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you,
for
thank
coming.
you,
Thank you,
Patreon.
everybody.
Thank you,
You're the best.
thank you, Adam.
Well, you can go. We're
thank
gonna
you.
we're gonna
We're
say goodbye to
goodnight.
everybody.
We're gonna let you go,
Okay.
and we're gonna say goodnight.
Let's get.
Okay, you
Okay.
just walk around the camera. Thank you, Jim. Come here. I'm giving you a hug before you go.
Just everybody. Thank you to the Comic Strip Live. 82nd and 2nd. You guys are the best. Thank you, Adam Henniker. Oh, we're off? I know, but I'm just saying thank you to everybody. Thank you to the Patreon people who give us every money every week. Thank you for the money. And if you want to give us money, it's www.patreon.com/2tiredtwats. Give us anything you want. The Comic Strip Live every fucking Tuesday
Did anybody
here.
say anything
Thank
we
you
needed to
so
write back
much.
to?
You guys are the best. Thank you, Patty Rosberg, for always driving this ship. And you drive it well.
No, stop it. You're the greatest, Carrie.
I love
How
Adam.
about this? Chris D. Train Donovan. I've been commenting on this podcast for months, and I have a 3-picture deal with Paramount. Why do I think he's so
Fuck
funny?
you,
He's
D-Train.
very fucking funny, D-Train.
He is. We want
We
to get him
tried
on
getting
the show.
him on the show. He fucking doesn't. You know why? Because he's in politics, and it might look bad
If he
he's on a
does the
show
twat
called
show.
Two Tired Twats. He's in local politics, I thought.
Whatever,
He
D-Train.
thinks we're going to bring him down. Fuck you, D-Train. We're going to bring you up.
That's right, D-Train.
Get your ass on this
Get
fucking
on this show and your career will skyrocket.
You will see. And then maybe we'll be on Paramount. We'll get a deal, too. Right, Carrie?
Yes. But anyway, thank you for listening every week, and thank you for all the Patreon people who give us money. You guys are the best. Good night. Have a great weekend.
Good night. All right. Thank you. Adam's
was
like, get